There's no doubt that the pandemic has changed the economical and social environment throughout the world. The economy post-COVID comes hand in hand with a new way of looking at the future and doing business. Today, more than ever, entrepreneurships, innovation, and international sustainable investment have a key role for the reactivation of local economies. Chile, as a platform for investment in Latin America, is committed to strengthening this path. We would like to welcome you and invite you to talk about and rethink the future of our country in this e-seminar Chile, redriving the investment and new opportunities of business, organized by InvestChile, the foreign investment promotion with the support of the Ministry of Economics. Before starting, we would like to tell you that because of the times that we're going through, this seminar is being performed with all the sanitary regulations advised by authorities. And also, we would like in Twitter using the hashtag InvestChile Seminar and become part of our dialogue.
We are Chile. For us, each day is an adventure. The adventure of learning, the adventure of growing, of harnessing new talent. We are a young country, but one that has come a long way. It has not always been easy. Our character has been forged by challenges, and we're proud of what we have built together. You know us. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about confidence and the future we're building today. We're talking about strength, transparency, and a country with a vision of international integration, with you as a partner. An ideal partnership for your project to thrive. With talent, with creativity, with leadership. We are Chile, the platform in Latin America for global business. Let us make your next project happen.
What would be better than to start with a guest that can give us some context for this conversation this morning, because we have the Minister of Economy, Development and Tourism, Mr. Lucas Palacios. Thank you very much for all the attendees. This is a presentation that I would like to make because it's very important for us, because it takes care of the way that we've been tackling the challenge of the pandemic. That doesn't only mean a deep sanitary situation, but it's had an economic and social impact in our country. I would like to start by saying that, to give you some context, our country has had a GDP growth that's been very important since the 90s till now. We started in the 90s of 6.1% growth, and the last few years we've been growing 3.3%, but the per capita income has continued to grow very importantly throughout these years. The per capita GDP in our country, in compared values, is $24,000 per person. That we are second behind Panama in the concept of Latin America. This comes from the IMF and the central bank of our country. What happened with the coronavirus? That's the evolution of what's been the active and the recovered people. We have a very low disease rate, and we've managed to flatten the curve, and that's thus managing the pandemic to be able to make this compatible with lowering the contagion of the virus, and reactivation of different economical sectors. There's a chart on the left lower side. You have a very strong impact of the pandemic from the labor point of view. We lost almost 2 million positions, but we've managed to recover almost 300,000 in the last few months. So we've been recovering the capability of generating job positions and activating our economy. We have a resilient economy. What we can see in the IMF predictions, you can see that Chile should drop their GDP on around 6%, and next year we should grow at 4.5%. And progressively, this figures have been improving. We can see that in Chile, maybe we could have a 5.5% drop and a growth of 5.5% next year. And we can also see that the investment has also increased in the projection for the next year. What has been the key to manage in a proper manner this COVID pandemic in our country? First, the opportunity of the response, not only the tools, but the timely response to implement these measures. We implemented the first measures 16 days after the first case, which was in the first few days of March. If we compare that to the concept of the group of countries in Latin America and other countries in the world, we can see that we have had a timely response to tackle in a proper way since the beginning this pandemic. And we have to say this, that Chile had a certain advantage compared to countries as, for instance, Europe or Italy, where the virus began earlier. That led us to prepare in hospital topics, in the attention to more severe cases, and that has allowed us to tackle, not face the situation of only having one bed available, which we've been able. That means that we've been able to take care of everyone that has needed it. If we see the magnitude of the response in this right chart, you have different countries, and the truth is that the percentage of the GDP, the response of our country has been 9.7%. But if we compare it to the same measures in every country, this gives Chile at 8.5, 8.4% of the GDP. That's below the line, which means if we compare it to the other countries, and we see a response that's very important. I would like to say also that Chile has become some sort of startup as government. We've had to innovate in a series of measures that we've had to approve through Congress for the approval and the Chamber of Representatives to take care of people. That's how we've created laws as the protection of jobs, the subsidies for most vulnerable people, and other measures that we've implemented over time to mitigate the social and economic impact of the pandemic. I would like to tell you that broadly, the tools that we've implemented, we could divide them in two main plans. An emergency plan that was divided in three: the direct support for the income of families to offset the impact of lack of income because of loss of jobs, bonuses, subsidies to reach informal sectors where we have less tools from the central government, the family emergency income that's been extended throughout time, and we have tax measures that support families and small businesses to delay the payment of certain taxes in benefit of the middle classes, solidarity credits, and we have the protection of employment law to avoid that the loss of employment gets deeper. And after the crisis, those positions can be recovered without losing the situations of the employees. That's been very important. Almost 700,000 people adhere to this plan, and we have a very important support for companies plan using different deals as credits, subsidized credits with a very low interest rate, and we have different measures for purchases from the state that we've been able to make the payment chain more agile. Using the COVID FOGAPE credits, we've been able to incorporate almost $12 billion to the economy, which is very important. The credits for companies grew in the crisis. Normally, this is restricted in crises, but that allowed us to tackle and avoid the structural impact in multiple companies. And also we have a second plan for the recovery with subsidies to employment, and we need to encourage this reactivation. And that's what we've been doing for different economy industries. We have a very important public investment of $4.5 billion additional to what we had budgeted. That means that it would be a $34 billion investment for concessions, for tax encouragement. And in Chile, private investment represents 81% of the total investment. That's why we would like to encourage private investment, and both national and international keeps generating strength in our country. We have another program for support for small businesses and tourism promotion. That well, tourism is a very important industry in our country. It generates 600,000 jobs, a lot of female employment, and it's one of the industries that's been more impacted because of this pandemic. And for we have a law bill for to make businesses don't go bankrupt. They have the legal and financial tools to avoid this. We have a model to make the lower costs more accessible, and we have working tables with different sectors in every region where we've been able to agree on specific measures for each sector and tax measures for companies to make the permit application more agile. And these are 31 measures. Out of them, we've implemented 20 to lower the bureaucracy times up to 30%, so that our country from now on is more digitalized for the effects of making the follow-up of the investment processes easier, and thus triggering greater investment that we need for the future. And from the point of view of foreign investment, our country has always been a country that's interesting, where we attract a lot of foreign investment. If you can see the left chart, you see that Latin America and the Caribbean is a green line, and what our country shows is the red line that's well above, since around the mid-80s, well above the international investment compared to other countries in Latin America. And actually, we had a drop, but you can see that we're going up again very strongly in the last few months, and there's a reactivation of an interest of foreign investment. And if you see the chart on the right, it's very important for us, this investment, because it has a direct relationship to the growth of the GDP, has a direct with investment, with the net creation of net capital. That's why it's very important for us to mitigate the structural impact in our economy that this pandemic had, with things that we've been doing all these months with protocols, reactivating different industries. But the next stage is to give the correct encouragement to reactivate the investment from now till the next, with a projection for the next 50 years. And what we are doing from the Ministry of Economy, we have a series of measures. We have a specific office that's called GPS that coordinates all the public institutions to make the investment process easier. As I said, we have 31 measures that we've been working very strongly, and we have a platform that's called Super, which is a modified permit platform where you can follow all the application for investment projects, where you can identify the bottlenecks and clear them. I'm not talking about going over any regulation. It's very important that we respect the environment in the future, and we respect the citizen participation to insert them where we need to insert the companies. That's the development that we want that they focus on people, and we don't want to deepen the bureaucracy. We want to make investment easier. We want to become a good partner for investment. Also, I want to remark that the last thing that you can see there, Step by Step Chile Recovers, this is a program that we led from the Ministry of Economy to generate protocols in each one of the industries to have no sanitary risk and start and restart regular work. We've done this in the construction industry, with the tourism, with commerce, with mining. We work with the different ministries to enable these protocols, to apply them, and to respect and to surveil. And this has allowed us to reactivate our economy. This is part of the step-by-step plan that's coordinated with the agile system for investment. Something that's very important that has caused some level of uncertainty is the constitutional process. I would like to say that many countries deal with social situations where they demand to institutionally drive an assessment of the legal framework, where you write the laws in countries. This is the Constitution, and I'm very proud to show that the process, the constitutional process, the social process in Chile was driven in a proper manner using the institutional path. And we already started this process with the voting that had a lot of participation, with the application of protocols, with results that nobody questioned and that was celebrated by an important part of the country, because we are starting a process to review the constitutions to see which will be the path that we will follow from here to the future, to continue being a competitive country, a country where you have opportunities, where you feel part of. And that's very important because there are multiple elements within this framework where you create a new constitution. There's very important topics that have to do with foreign investment. For instance, in the main pillars of the Constitution, we have the respect of international treaties. We have 29 international treaties, commercial treaties, that means that we have treaties with 50 countries. We are a small country that's extraordinarily open for the world. More than 55% of the GDP has to do with international commerce. That's why our country will follow that path. Also, we have 38 agreements or treaties for promotion and protection of investment that are still current. That means that they meet multiple basic elements. Regulation about seizure of assets, that means the respect for foreign investment, and controversy resolution mechanisms. That's very important. And I would like to tell you that also within this framework of the constitutional discussion, we have every international treaty that Chile has. And among those, we have some that are very important. The Costa Rica Treaty, that pact talks about human rights, but also talks and establishes that everyone has the right to use their assets and nobody can take them, except for with a just payment for social interests, and everything following and respecting the law, that we respect private property. We are a country that maintains their commitment with this because it's part of a development model that has allowed us to grow very much in previous years, and we want to protect to the future by using a more inclusive manner, maintaining the opportunities that we deserve in our country. But these are fundamental elements that will continue being defended, will be part of our judicial regulation, because Chile is a country that respects international treaties, and we've said this in the framework where we discuss the new constitution. We also have to remark the international reciprocity that's incorporated in the free trade treaties in international law, respecting foreign investment and different areas like taxes, promotion and protection of foreign investment, controversy solution, etc. So I would like to say now and give an optimistic view, because our country, for the last decades, we've shown economical, institutional, and political stability, and that's the way that we solve our conflicts. And we've had, as many countries, we have situations with conflicts and problems that we need to tackle following all the regulations that institutionality gives us. And that's how we are dealing with the pandemic, and that's how we are improving our economy, and that's how we are recovering the jobs. And that's the same way that we want to encourage foreign investment from here to the future. Thank you very much, Minister. Before we continue, Josefa has something very important to say.
Connecting with the interests of foreign investors with the opportunities, the business opportunities that Chile has to offer. That is the main task of InvestChile, the agency for the promotion of foreign investment. Each year, InvestChile helps more than 700 foreign companies with services that have led it to be quite recognized for 2 consecutive years as the best agency in South America by a specialized magazine from the U.S. Site Selection. Do you want to know a bit more about InvestChile? Please follow the following.
continue with Invest Chile, working on the e-seminar Chile drives the investment and new business opportunities. Our next guest has a lot to say, especially about what has to do with the new scenario and new opportunities that the post-pandemic Chile has to offer.
Okay, here in the study we have Juan Araya Rende, the Deputy Director of Investment Chile. How are you? Good morning. Yes, good morning. The first question, what is the impact of the pandemic in foreign investment at a global level and at a Chilean level? The pandemic, yes, of course, it has had a great impact at foreign investment level in the entire world. If you look at the dates, March, April, approximately, the United Nations did estimations of how much the impact was going to be of COVID-19 in terms of foreign investment, and its estimations were between 35 and 50%, and for the region, they were talking about even 60% in the decrease of the investment rates. The first semester this fall was at 50% at a global level. In OECD countries, it was even 77%. That is the extent of what we're currently facing in terms of the fall in foreign investment. In the case of Chile, in the first semester, our numbers were quite great. We had exceed in terms of foreign investment, but with the rates of September this year, they show a fall of around 15%, a downward trend in terms of foreign investment. Therefore, yes, it has to do with the region, the planet, but it's a bit, yes, we see a downward trend that is quite normal. Now, a couple of things that are important. In the last 2 years, Chile has shown a significant recovery in numbers in terms of foreign investment. And in 2019, we had 63% investment over 2018. Even with this downward trend, we're over the average of the last quinquenio in Chile. And it is also worth noting that foreign investment is medium and long-term investment. No one makes the decision for tomorrow. It's for now. Yes, the investment we have in Chile is not in portfolios. It's just not going to the stock, and it's good. They invest and it goes out. But it's investment in industry, and it produces employment. What are the mechanisms that are important in this scenario? Not only Chile is complicated, but the region is also with issues. What is Invest Chile doing now to bring this foreign investment in these complex moments in the pandemic? We focused on three main elements. The first one is to work on retaining and materializing projects that were in process of investment in Chile, where projects are not stopped because of the pandemic and the restrictions, and for the investments that were in Chile to maintain their operations, and that is basically through providing much information about what the government does. The second pillar is robust work in sectors where we do have a potential to continue working with those potential investors that look at Chile, and medium and long-term processes. And the third pillar is robust and solid work with some ministries to help them with their portfolios. We've worked strongly with the Ministry of Energy that is working on green hydrogen. We've been supporting them in seminars in China and Japan to show the potential of Chile, disseminate it, and to connect it with potential investors. Investors that look from the outside, from abroad, they look at many countries, for example, and they look at Latin America. Why should they notice Chile for their projects to be innovative, sustainable? Why? What's the attractive of Chile that differentiates us regarding other countries? But we, as an agency, since we're a small organization, we have to be much more dynamic and go beyond the sectors, and we try to identify potential for investment in non-revealed sectors where we have advantages that are not that obvious. And we made great efforts there. We have two important matters. The first one is that we have a great potential for the production of clean energies. And the second one is that we have enormous potential in terms of innovation. Clearly, Chile is not a country with a large population. We cannot focus on industries that are intensive in terms of labor. Therefore, we believe we have a great potential in sectors where we can seize the great quality of our education that is recognized at an international level. We have certain potentials of niches that are not that labor intensive, but they do have good quality work at a technical level. So those are the great advantages. And likewise, in the last years, Chile has identified the sector of global services where we're working on in terms of food and agricultural matters, food tech, agrotech, which are new applications or technologies applied to the world of food and agriculture, and global services. Chile has become the regional center for the installation of data centers. The most important investors globally now in technological matters. We're talking about Microsoft, Huawei, Google, web service. They're not only looking at Chile, observing Chile, but they have established their data centers in Chile. Therefore, that shows you the potential that we have to continue developing in this industry. Juan, a last point. What are the challenges that will show up for attracting for direct foreign investment in Chile in the next year to come? The word is a mantra, reactivation. It becomes a mantra, reactivation, reactivation, reactivation. The countries that first recover post-pandemic will have an advantage. We're working strongly on how we can be a lever for this purpose. We need to close certain gaps. We're working strongly on this, on the negotiation of projects to be more efficient and for us to reduce our time. That is very important because at the end of the day, that will attract more investment. And when we talk about foreign investment, we're not talking about more resources entering the country, but we're talking about what foreign investment means for Chile. It means more and better jobs. It means an entire virtuous circle that is generated in the investment around a series of SMEs that provide services for these companies. Therefore, that is the impact that foreign investment has at the end of the day, that we're able to generate more jobs, more growth. Juana Vallaven, the Deputy Director of InvestChile, would like to thank you for your presence here this morning. Thank you very much. And to all of you, we will go to a brief pause, and when we come back, we have many more matters to talk about. For example, we'll talk with companies that are investing in our country. We'd also talk with the distinguished economist Jeffrey Sachs. And you can comment through Twitter with hashtag InvestChile Seminar. Please do not go away, and we'll see each other soon.